Today is Saturday when I'm shooting this video, 6 days after the ORAMM. In this video, I want to talk about the ORAMM, the experience, and do a little bit of comparison with the Marmotte Alpes. And I am wearing my ORAMM t-shirt, a badge of honor. This is my third ORAMM t-shirt, I think. So ORAMM versus the Marmotte Alpes. I didn't realize how bad I felt until I felt good. I felt really good at the ORAMM. No jet lag to deal with. And I mean, I could have used an extra hour of sleep that morning, but I felt so good. Even going up Curtis Creek, I was just thinking to myself how much better I felt. And like I said, sometimes you don't know how bad you felt until you really feel good. And that's definitely the case with the ORAMM. Going to France and doing the Marmotte Alpes was kind of a mission versus a vacation. And there was a lot of stuff to deal with, and it really made me appreciate the simplicity of doing a local mountain bike race. It was a 7.5, 8 hour drive from my house, but the simplicity of just throwing your bike on the back of your car and driving somewhere instead of having to deal with airports and boxing up your bike and all the travel stuff that goes around with it, it really makes you appreciate it. So the ORAMM was obviously quite a bit shorter than the Marmotte Alpes, a little over 5 hours. And I think I was on the bike about 5 hours, and I had no nausea at all. With the Marmotte, I was probably nauseous 3 hours into the ride. And when I got to the top of that first climb at the Marmotte Alpes, I said it before, I didn't think I would be able to finish. I never had that feeling. Like I said, no nausea or just overwhelming fatigue at all on the ORAMM. And I don't think I mentioned this when I was talking about the Marmotte Alpes, but I didn't have an appetite for about 2 days after the Marmotte Alpes. The first night after the race, I had like fevers and body aches, woke up in the middle of the night sweating. So just the duration of the event, but again, I think the lack of sleep before, then the jet lag, it just all added up to where, I was really hurting. And some people have mentioned, by the way, that I look a little thinner. I am. I'm about 8 to 10 pounds lighter than I was about 2 months ago. So I lost about 2 or 3 pounds before going over to France. I lost 2 or 3 pounds during the race. And then when I got back, I got sick and lost another couple pounds. So literally I was about 10 pounds lighter when I was really sick than I was a couple months before. I've gained a little bit back, but I'm still about 140 pounds, a little bit less. So really good climbing weight, getting ready for cross season. That may help a little bit, but I've gotten my strength back. So talking more about the ORAMM now, I thought about bringing my trail bike up for that ride, mainly because I wanted to have the trail bike to ride afterwards. My son went with me and I couldn't fit more than 2 bikes on my car. I tried to put it in the trunk and it just didn't work. So I think 1 year I may have to do that ride on a trail bike. I'd probably be about 45 minutes to an hour slower overall. You'd definitely be slower on the climbs, and you're climbing forever. I got out of the saddle a lot on that race, especially Curtis Creek. I would ride in the saddle, out of the saddle, get back in, and being able to lock out the suspension on my cross-country bike was great. I can lock it out on my trail bike. It's not quite as firm in the back, but still, I'm thinking about it 1 year. Now, I didn't mention this in my ORAMM video, but one thing that I wish I had on my cross-country bike, and that is a dropper seat post. I saw a lot of people with dropper seat posts, and I probably won't do that ride again without a dropper. A couple times, I almost got pitched forward over the bars. Once, I think, on the first set, the single track Katsuma, and then once or twice going down Heartbreak Ridge. So a dropper post for an endurance mountain bike race that's really technical, the sensor technical, I think is really important. And I can see more and more cross-country, cross-country bikes today are getting more capable for rough stuff. 120 forks, mine has a 120. I'm starting to see that more. There's a new Epic out that has a 120. I think it has a dropper seat post too. So it's really exciting to see the cross-country bikes getting more capable and really not gaining that much weight. Maybe a little bit, half a pound to a pound, but that's well worth it to have a bike that's more not only capable, but also a lot more versatile. A couple people have asked me about my training, and I feel like for the most part, my training went well for the Marmotte Alpes and then carrying over to the ORAMM. I've mentioned before, since I live in a flatter area, intervals are key. Long rides on the weekends, intervals during the week, maybe some intervals on the weekends. That really helps. And I do, for endurance events, I try to do longer intervals, like 10 to 15 minutes at, you know, threshold or just below threshold. Maybe some that are really shorter, like 3 to 5 minutes that are, you know, really fast. But I feel like the interval training worked well. Now, I will say that there is, and this is not news to most of y'all, but there is no substitute for pure training in the mountains if you can do it. And my back got really sore on the Marmotte Alpes. It got really sore in the ORAMM, not as bad in the ORAMM, but just the pulling on the bars. Next time I will do more training camps, going up to the mountains to train. There's just no substitute for it. When you are in a climb that you have to push hard for an hour and not let up, there's nothing like that. So that being said, I feel like you can train in flat ground. Now for technical stuff, we have Santos down by Ocala, and you can do some pretty technical trails, and that really helps for learning how to handle your bike in technical situations. So if you can combine that with long rides and intervals, you can be prepared for a mountain endurance event if you live in flat ground. So now that a lot of my traveling's done and the endurance events are done, it's time to prepare for a mountain bike and cyclocross season. I'll do more cyclocross races this fall, but I may do a couple cross-country mountain bike races. The problem is they're at the same time, so I got to pick one. So I'm actually taking the weekend off this weekend, not riding at all. I can't remember the last time I've done that. I just feel like my body needs a break. I'm going to take about 4 days off, spin easy for 3 or 4 days, and then start doing my hard training for cyclocross season. So I got a ton of stuff done around the house this morning, stuff that I have had to do for a long time. Found out I have a family, actually. No, they've been a huge support over my endurance season the past couple months. We're going to go kayaking today as a family. So anyway, that's going to wrap it up for this video, talking about the ORAMM, the experience. Overall, ORAMM was awesome. I had some great riding with some friends afterwards. Did more riding with my son, but got some riding in with some guys as well afterwards. And like I said, going to France and all the complication, I would not trade that experience for anything, but it really made me appreciate home and made me appreciate being able to do an event, you know, sort of close by and not being as complicated in the travel. So, all right, that'll wrap it up. Questions, comments, drop those below. Thanks for watching.